When it comes to games with the most breathtaking landscapes, Ghost of Tsushima has always held a special place in my heart. It uses an incredibly cinematic lens to showcase highly stylized environments, aiming not for strict realism but for a unique, almost dreamlike Eastern aesthetic. Its successor, Ghost of Yotei, perfectly inherits this style. And my main takeaway after finishing the game is, for a title that could easily feel like a Ubisoft-style open-world game, it is truly impressive that Sucker Punch managed to design such a massive map with so many collectibles, including armor sets, the fox dens, hot springs and training elements, without making the player feel bored. The developers definitely put in a lot of hard work. The weapon-specific combat system and the skill tree progression for each weapon significantly reduced that repetitive open-world feeling. The story's core tone is also reminiscent of Ghost of Tsushima. The game kicks off with a devastating act of vengeance, a tragic massacre. Under the fiery glow of a burning ginkgo tree, a young Atsu sobs. In front of her are the lifeless bodies of her parents, killed just moments before. Crying, Atsu picks up a mere fire poker, her eyes filled with impotent rage as she stares at the 6 murderers, the Yōtei Six, who stand before her. Clearly Saito, the leader, has no intention of sparing her. Whispering a cold "my apologies," he plunges his sword through her shoulder, pinning her to the blazing ginkgo tree. Then, he orders his men to add more kindling to the flames. No one truly knows how Atsu survived the inferno, or how she later traveled to the mainland and earned distinction in battle using her family's wolf blade. 16 years of military campaigns culminated in the Battle of Kamino Tatakai, where Atsu, fighting for her feudal lord, was defeated. Returning to Hokkaido, she seeks only one thing: closure. And that means the death of every member of the Yōtei Six. Atsu meticulously writes the names of her enemies on a strip of cloth: Fukazetsu the vengeful spirit, Ashikase the spider, Koryu the sea dragon, and the name she could never forget, Wataru Saito. She ties the cloth to her waist, a constant, chilling reminder of her commitment to revenge. Not far away, she notices a small village being terrorized by Sato's despicable bandits. The path of vengeance starts right here, with this band of pitiful thugs, who are only brave enough to pick on a lone horse. Seeing that Atsu is a woman, the ruffians get bolder, saying they plan to offer her to their boss. But Atsu's wolf blade flashes with a cold light. With a single swift strike, she cuts down the first attacker. As for their leader, Atsu pushes open the tavern doors and sees the very first name on her cloth: Fukazetsu the vengeful spirit, who appears to be a woman. Fukazetsu mockingly asks Atsu to light her cigarette. Lighting a cigarette? That's too dull. Atsu retorts and promptly sets the whole tavern on fire. In the ensuing chaos, Fukazetsu recognizes the symbol of the twin wolves on Atsu's wolf blade. She realizes that the woman before her is the daughter of the samurai they murdered 16 years ago. As their swords clash, Atsu is briefly lost in a tragic memory. It is that night again, the silver ginkgo tree engulfed in flames. Overwhelmed by sorrow and rage, Atsu is caught off guard and hit by Fukazetsu's dirty trick. Just as Fukazetsu draws her pistol, a wolf leaps out of nowhere and saves Atsu's life. Unfortunately, the wolf blade is knocked away by Fukazetsu's strike. Fukazetsu raises her katana high and pins Atsu to the ground with a powerful thrust. As the villainess smirks in triumph, Atsu unexpectedly draws a hidden dagger, plunging it into Fukazetsu's chest. Atsu releases all the sorrow and fury that has been building up for 16 long years. After an unknown amount of time, Atsu, who had passed out, slowly awakens. But the villagers gathered around see her as someone who has returned from the dead. Terrified, they start calling Atsu the Onryō, the vengeful spirit. Atsu offers no explanation. She simply uses the blood of Fukazetsu smeared on the wolf blade to erase the first name from her cloth. Mounting the rescued white horse, she leaps away and gallops toward her childhood home, a place imprinted deep in her memory at the foot of Mount Yōtei. Atsu never imagined she wasn't the only one to survive that terrible night. The burnt ginkgo tree also endured. Whenever she sees it, Atsu is reminded of the time she and her younger brother, Shirobei, played happily beneath its branches, a stark contrast to the nightmare of that evening. Back then, Atsu's life was simple, learning the shamisen from her mother, and blacksmithing from her father, the master swordsmith. His life's proudest creation was this very wolf blade. He always hoped that Atsu and Shirobei would be like the twin wolves, engraved on the blade's hilt, always protecting their family. Recalling those warm bygone days, Atsu kneels before her parents' graves and swears to track down every member of the Yōtei Six. Carrying out her revenge, it is quite literally the sole purpose driving Atsu to live now. Atsu soon tracks the Saito bandits to a local inn they have seized. They instantly recognize the woman before them as the one who killed Fukazetsu. The thugs refuse to cooperate, and a standoff quickly escalates into an unavoidable battle. This small disturbance soon attracts another group of people, the retainers of the Matsumi clan, sent by the shogunate to govern this area. They are also hunting the rogue Saito bandits, so Atsu realizes a temporary alliance might be possible later. To enhance her fighting skills, Atsu continues her journey, seeking out her father's old friend, Hanbei, a master of the dual katanas who is now secluded on Mount Yotei. To this day, Hanbei still carries a prize sword forged by Atsu's father. Unfortunately, the old master lost his left arm in a duel with Saito. Now the master of the dual katanas is left with only one arm. Recognizing Atsu, he agrees to teach her the double blade techniques. Inevitably, the two discuss the tragic past. Hanbei confesses that he saw the ginkgo tree engulfed in flames that night, but did nothing. He deeply apologizes for failing Atsu's parents, but Atsu's next words leave Hanbei stunned. She says that the one truly responsible for her parents' deaths is herself. Earlier that day, she and Shirbei were out gathering mushrooms in the woods. While searching, they suddenly encountered a wolf. Fortunately, a single bullet shot from within the trees intervened. Otherwise, both she and Shirbei would have been killed. To show their gratitude, Atsu noticed the person who saved them had a sword, and mentioned that her father was a famous swordsmith, offering to sharpen the savior's blade. To her surprise, the person turned out to be an old acquaintance of her father, and they accepted the offer. Back home, Atsu saw her parents' expressions and knew they were indeed acquainted, though clearly not in the way Atsu had imagined. Yes, that person was Saito. Atsu then learned that her father was once a retainer of Saito, but after a certain battle, her father and several others deserted, leading to the complete defeat of the Saito clan. When her parents tried to argue, claiming, "But you were plundering the villages," Saito angrily roared back, "I was merely requisitioning supplies." He immediately summoned the Yōtei Six, and that led to the family massacre that devastating night. For all these years, Atsu has blamed herself. If she hadn't unwittingly brought the enemy into their home, her parents might not have died before her very eyes, and her brother Shirbei wouldn't have vanished without a trace. Atsu quickly puts her newly learned double blade techniques to use, cutting down the invading Saito bandits. Searching the bodies, she discovers a conscription letter. Hanbei speculates that these men hail from the Saito training fortress, Inishi Seirenfong, and Atsu might find more information on the Yōtei Six there. So Atsu stealthily makes her way along the cliffs and infiltrates the fortress. It turns out to be her lucky or unlucky day. Saito himself is there for an inspection, with her primary target right in front of her. The vengeful Atsu leaps down, eager to strike. Unfortunately, Saito has been through countless life-or-death situations, and his vigilance is high. Spotting the wolf blade, Saito recognizes Atsu. He expresses surprise that she survived. Upon learning that Atsu has earned great military honors over the past 16 years, but received no recognition, he offers a proposition. "If you are willing to serve me, I will make you a samurai." Atsu of course refuses. Saito smiles faintly, handing Atsu her recovered dual katanas. "Very well. Let me see what you've learned all these years." Just as the two engage in a fierce deadlock battle, suddenly fire arrows begin raining down. The soldiers cry out in panic that the Matsumi clan has attacked. A fire arrow explodes right at Atsu and Saito's feet. When Atsu regains consciousness, she struggles to stand, ready to fight on. But Saito no longer has time for a duel. He points his long sword forward, turns and leads his troops away. After Hanbei rescued her, Atsu learned the truth. He was worried about Atsu's safety, so he contacted the Matsumi clan to intervene. Unfortunately, Saito still managed to break through their encirclement and escape. However, the Matsumi samurai did provide valuable information. Oni, one of the Yōtei Six, was currently stationed in the Teshio plain. The bad news was that Lord Matsumi had ordered the borders to be strictly secured. No one without a travel permit was allowed to enter. Atsu quickly acquired a forged permit from a beggar. Just then, Lord Kitamori, the leader of the Matsumi samurai stationed there, happened to pass by. He had actually seen through the fake permit immediately, but operating on the principle that the enemy of my enemy is my friend, he chose not to expose her. Right as they were talking, fire arrows rained down. It was the Oni's ghost masked troops who had arrived to attack. Kitamori asked Atsu one thing. "Do you dare to fight our way out together?" "Why would I not?" Atsu responded. The two chased the attackers back to the ghost mask camp, where the troops were burning captured Matsumi samurai alive, all in the name of the Oni's divine justice. Appalled by the victims' agonizing screams, Lord Kitamori was pushed past his breaking point. He rushed forward without hesitation. Atsu had no time to stop him. She could only unleash her Onryō's howl and charge with him, cutting down the perpetrators. That night, unable to return to their post, they had to take shelter in the Ghost Mask camp. However, Lord Kitamori's eyes were fixed intently on the wolf blade in Atsu's hand. Grasping his own sword, he warily asked Atsu where she got it. Atsu didn't hide the truth, saying it was passed down from her father. At that, she saw the expression on Lord Kitamori's face swiftly change from tense alertness to one of deep sorrow and distress. Turns out that Lord Kitamori is actually Shirbei, Atsu's younger brother. How did we get separated? We might ask later. But the immediate issue for Atsu, after 16 long years, is this. After burying their parents that night, Atsu waited for days under the ginkgo tree. You survived, so why didn't you ever come home? It seems that after they were separated that night, Shirbei was rescued by a Matsumi samurai. He recovered for several weeks and has served the Matsumi clan ever since, changing his name to Kitamori. He confesses that, despite being nearby, he never returned to their home under the ginkgo tree after that night. He says he had his own reasons. After the heartfelt reunion, the siblings talked all night. When morning came, Shirbei invited his older sister to join the Matsumi clan as well, but Atsu refused. This life of mine will never serve anyone again, she stated. I live only for revenge. Shirbei could not convince her. He could only use the pretense of escorting her to the Teshio plain to personally introduce Atsu to the Matsumi general. However, his expectations were too high. Just as Saito warned, the Matsumi clan would never agree to let a woman carry a warrior's sword. Take your reward money and be gone. Shirbei tried to intervene, arguing that Atsu going alone would be nothing short of a suicide mission. Atsu unleashed a fierce reprimand. And what about you? How much longer are you going to hide here, pretending nothing ever happened? Shirbei repeated the same defense. He still had his own reasons. For the sister he couldn't keep from leaving, the only thing he could do was to tell her about the nearby market, where she might find information on the Oni. Indeed, a wanted poster was displayed in the market. A man named Fujiro was being sought for stealing the Oni's most prized possession, a magnificent firearm. This meant that by finding Fujiro and recovering the gun, Atsu might be able to get close to the Oni. Just as Atsu was checking out a nearby tavern for clues about Fujiro, Shirbei unexpectedly showed up. It seemed he still couldn't put his worries about his sister aside. However, he didn't sneak out of the military camp just to help his sister with her revenge. He wanted to understand her better and make up for the lost time. He believed their parents, watching from the afterlife, also wished for the siblings to cooperate, like the twin wolves engraved on the blade's hilt, to protect their family together. With the siblings working in tandem, how could a mere village dentist like Fujiro stand a chance? They successfully recovered the Oni's formidable firearm. However, just as Atsu prepared to take Fujiro and the gun to the Oni, Fujiro flashed his noticeably yellowed teeth and smirked, saying, from the Oni's firepower deployment to his men, I know far too much information. Are you sure the Matsumi Lord will let you hand me back to the Oni? Despite the obvious blackmail, Shirbei had to admit that Fujiro was right. He needed to bring Fujiro back to the Matsumi clan for interrogation. The siblings reached a stalemate, so they agreed on a compromise. Atsu would give Shirbei 12 hours to interrogate Fujiro. Once the time was up, she would come to claim him. The 12 hours quickly passed. However, only Shirbei himself showed up to the rendezvous. It turned out that Fujiro truly knew too much. The Matsumi general refused to release him. Shirbei only managed to bring the magnificent firearm with him. But without the title and presence of Fujiro, the Oni would definitely not meet them in person. So what do we do now? Atsu suggests they say the Matsumi clan's favorite might be more useful than Fujiro, right? Shirbei was shocked. His sister intended to tie him up and use him as a sacrificial offering, but Atsu repeatedly promised she would definitely rescue him. Driven by his guilt toward their parents and his trust in his older sister, Shirbei agreed. He let her escort him to the Oni's camp as a prisoner, and it worked. The Oni personally came to meet them. He ordered his Yakuza subordinates to lock Shirbei up immediately. It was at that moment that both siblings noticed the key dangling from the Yakuza's waist. Soon after, Shirbei was forced into the prison cell. Atsu followed the ruthless demon to the treasure hall, which served as a staging area for rewards. Her eyes immediately locked onto the scabbard crafted for her father's treasured blade. This sight instantly brought back that horrific night. While the wicked man tortured her father, her brother Shiro wanted to charge out with a spear, but Atsu stopped him. She argued that her swordsmanship was superior, and if anyone was going to attempt the rescue, it had to be her. However, just as she was trying to psyche herself up, Shiro impulsively rushed out. Seeing her sibling about to be killed, Atsu finally mustered the courage to charge forward. With one swift cut, she slashed the brute's right eye. Just as her father yelled for the two of them to run, the enemy's sword pierced his chest. That memory is Atsu's most painful burden. So she demanded no reward other than the scabbard, an object of such great importance to her. Yet, the heartless fiend couldn't even recall where had obtained it. The reality is truly grim. Something you cherish so deeply means absolutely nothing to another person. While waiting for the evening feast, one of the men found Atsu irritating and challenged her to a duel. It was the perfect opportunity. Atsu took him down with a single stroke. Seizing the moment as she helped him up, she smoothly lifted the keys from his belt. Later that night, while the enemy forces were drinking and celebrating, Atsu slipped into the barracks and freed Shiro. Unfortunately, the two siblings quickly fell into a new disagreement. Atsu wanted to seize this chance to slay the villain immediately, but Shiro insisted they prioritize rescuing the Matsuchi family's captives first. This was no time for an argument, so Shiro reluctantly gave in. He made Atsu promise that right after she finished taking down the chief demon, she would return straight away to help save the prisoners. The two siblings followed a steep cliffside trail, sneaking their way into the main compound. However, the silence within was unnerving. Suddenly, a hand shot out and clamped around Atsu's throat. It turned out the demon, while allowing his men to indulge, never actually drank alcohol himself. Had spent a long time thinking about the strange young woman, and finally remembered the scabbard's origin. He was prepared for them. Atsu quickly thrust her dagger upwards, stabbing the villain. Screaming in pain, he grabbed her and flung her out the window. Clearly, both options, killing the demon or rescuing the captives, were now completely off the table. The siblings located their horses and rode them fiercely, barely escaping with their lives. They immediately started arguing again. Shiro bitterly accused his sister. Her blind obsession with revenge had put them in grave danger and forced them to abandon their allies. Atsu retorted, blaming her brother. If only you had honored your promise and brought the hives, none of this would have happened. Shiro, utterly disappointed, dropped a defeated line. You're right. I don't understand you. I used to want to, but now, I don't. With that, he turned and walked away. Atsu was left alone once more, but the vengeance must still be served. Her only recourse was to infiltrate the Matsumi camp and seek out Fuaro, a warrior who held crucial intelligence on the demon. After successfully freeing him, Atsu looked up and bumped right into Shiro. Shiro threw his hands up in a gesture of helplessness and muttered, "What am I supposed to do?" It turned out the difficult situation Shiro kept referring to was his new life. He had settled down in the Matsumi clan's territory and had a daughter. He couldn't just abandon everything for revenge, unlike his sister. He earnestly urged Atsu to leave immediately, warning that if she started a feud with the Matsumi, even he couldn't help her. But just then, the demon's elite Onimen squad attacked. Fighting back to back, the siblings soon realized their enemies outnumbered them severely, and worse, they were backed by fire bombardiers. Atsu instantly decided to have Shiro retreat to the camp to reorganize their defense and hold the bridge. She, meanwhile, commandeered a fire bombardier of her own, systematically targeting and eliminating the enemy's bombardment positions. She then raced back to the bridge to fight shoulder to shoulder with Shiro. It was at that very moment the demon himself led the charge. The siblings shouted in unison, "If you're a warrior, come face us one-on-one." The demon sneered, "Warriors? All I see are two weaklings who failed to protect their father, and are about to fail at protecting this bridge. Let me burn you both down again." With that, he raised his long blade. Behind him, several massive fire bombardiers launched a sudden barrage. The bridge was instantly pulverized, sending both Atsu and Shiro plummeting into the river below. After making it to shore, the Onimen squad had already claimed victory and returned to their stronghold. Shiro suddenly recalled the demon's chilling phrase, "Let me burn you both down again." With a jolt of devastating clarity, he finally understood. He realized that on the night their family was annihilated, Atsu had been pinned to a ginkgo tree and engulfed in flames. This revelation gave him a profound understanding of his sister's relentless thirst for vengeance. The deep rift between the siblings was finally healed. They resolved to face the demon together. Fortunately, during the chaos of the previous night's raid, Fuaro also managed to escape. Their scouts reported that he might be posing as a priest at a mountaintop shrine. With their bond restored, the two, now truly united, supported each other as they climbed toward the summit. Amidst the breathtaking scenery, Shiro finally confessed the true reason he hadn't returned home for 16 years. It was due to cowardice. It was fear. For 16 years he had lived in denial, pretending the massacre had happened to someone else. Going back home would force him to confront the reality he'd been hiding from, and it would force him to admit that he was still the same helpless young boy who couldn't protect his family. He was stunned to learn that neither the Atsu of the past nor the Atsu of the present blamed him. With all barriers gone, the siblings quickly located Fuaro, who was temporarily hiding at the shrine before heading back to the countryside, having earned a bounty for pulling people's teeth without permission. The man confessed everything, revealing a secret mine shaft that led directly beneath the demon's fortress. Under the cover of darkness, the two pushed off in a small boat, sailing toward the secluded seaside entrance of the tunnel. This time, Atsu was no longer focused solely on vengeance. While taking down the Oni-men squad, she also helped Shiro free the captured Matsumi warriors along the way. Shiro had been right. With the help of these allies to distract and contain the enemy, Atsu could finally focus entirely on confronting the demon. So, she instructed Shiro to continue rescuing the remaining captives, while she went to settle the score with the villain alone. No matter what personal path either of them took, no one could change the fact that they were still their father's two wolves. Finally, she stood face to face with her father's killer. The demon, a former general, had joined the Yōtei Six just to get back into battle, and was clearly tired of his current life constructing fortresses. He was practically desperate for a decent fight. If that's the case, Atsu declared, drawing the wolf's blade. Do you remember who took your right eye 16 years ago? 16 years later, she continued, I'm here to take your life. The demon pleaded for a quick, honorable death. The two wolves calmly replied, Did you grant our father honor? With that, they raised their blades together. Two blades fell and the demon's head rolled. The wicked man was finally defeated, and Atsu drew a firm line through the second name on her strip of cloth. Afterward, Atsu resumed her journey of vengeance. Shiro, meanwhile, had to return to the Matsumi clan to report their success. Once all this is over, he asked, Will you come to my home? Atsu's answer was a question in return. Once all this is over, will you come back to our home? Bidding farewell to her brother, Atsu traveled to the legendary Tengu Ridge, a mountain rumored to be haunted by the fox. On the road, she was ambushed by the fox's dreaded nine-tailed ninja unit. Unexpectedly, the fox himself appeared. Before Atsu could even react, the treacherous figure flung a kunai at her. More sinister still, the kunai was laced with a powerful disorientation poison. In her semi-conscious state, Atsu seemed to witness a flashback of her mother teaching her the three-stance art. The horrifying truth: her mother was murdered by the fox. But the fox didn't intend to kill Atsu directly. He simply left her in the snow to die, just like he did with other victims. Luckily, a wolf appeared and roused Atsu from the brink of death. Following the wise old horse, she was guided to a mountain cave, where she started a fire and slowly recovered. Rested and renewed, Atsu descended to an inn at the base of the mountain to gather information about the fox. To her surprise, a squad of Matsumi warriors was also there. The low-ranking soldiers were busy gambling away their money. Their leader, however, was welcoming. He greeted Atsu warmly, immediately inviting her to come warm up in the blankets. Just as she was about to leave in disappointment, a familiar sound, a shamisen tune reminiscent of her mother's, made her pause. It was the inn's musician, Yuki, and Yuki happened to know a few things about the fox. This contemptible thief would even steal the shrine's offerings. So Yuki suggested Atsu leave some money as bait. While waiting in ambush at the shrine, the two started talking. Yuki revealed that everyone living in the shadow of the fox, including himself, lives in fear. He explained that the fox had once stolen the most important thing in his life. Having harbored a thirst for vengeance for so long, that was his true motivation for helping Atsu. Sure enough, a nine-tailed unit showed up to steal the offerings. But these ninja proved fiercely loyal. The single survivor they managed to capture yelled, "I will never talk," and immediately took his own life. No matter. Yuki searched his shoe and discovered a map. Seeing Atsu's puzzled look, Yuki shrugged, "It's perfectly normal. I keep my own sheet music hidden away too." Atsu followed the map, fighting her way through a nine-tailed training camp and recovering another cipher book. She immediately rushed it back to Yuki, who instantly recognized its value. This was the key to unlocking the mechanisms protecting the fox's lair. The only problem was locating the lair itself. The two squeezed into the cramped crawl space where the inn's owner secretly spied on his guests. Eavesdropping on the Matsumi clan's utterly worthless leader, they learned that a local man who might know the location was hiding in a nearby izakaya. Yuki disguised Atsu as his attendant. Under the pretense of a performance, they slipped a powerful truth serum into the old man's drink. When he ran out to the river to violently throw up, with no one watching, they confronted him with the codebook. The man confessed that he had definitely seen those strange symbols near the local dye house. When the two arrived, they saw the truth. The place was riddled with traps. If they didn't follow the precise route laid out in the cipher book, they would undoubtedly meet a gruesome end. Atsu meticulously navigated the traps, eventually finding a mechanism box. Violent force was clearly not an option. Fortunately, Yuki's mother once owned a similar puzzle box. As a child, he constantly pestered his mother to open it, desperate to see the treasure inside. Curious, he once secretly took the box. His mother, upon discovering it, didn't scold him, but simply smiled and showed him how to open it. Inside, the most precious treasure she kept was a lock of Yuki's baby hair. As for the fox's treasure, it was the formula for the debilitating poison used on his kunai, along with the location of his hidden herbal garden. However, when they reached the garden, the Matsumi clan had already set up an ambush. It turned out the local man, unaware they possessed the cipher book, had tried to lure them to the dye house to their deaths, then led the Matsumi soldiers to the herbal garden. Just as Atsu and Yuki were beginning their infiltration, the brainless Matsumi warriors launched a premature, full-scale assault. Atsu rushed forward and managed to corner the fox just as he was about to flee from the commotion. The fox crossed his arms and asked, "Why are you pursuing me so relentlessly?" Atsu fiercely countered, "Have you forgotten what you did to my mother?" He hadn't forgotten, he genuinely didn't remember. Atsu wasn't afraid of a direct fight, but the fox's potent sleeping mist was too overwhelming. Just as a chain scythe was swung directly at Atsu, a kunai struck and deflected the weapon. It was Yuki. He emerged, wielding a chain scythe of his own. For a mere musician, Yuki's combat prowess was surprisingly masterful. Cornered and surrounded, the fox chose not to prolong the fight and vanished in the blink of an eye. Yuki quickly pulled Atsu to safety and withdrew. As they walked, Atsu noticed Yuki's figure slowly shifting into the image of the fox. Was it an illusion caused by the sleeping mist? Atsu suddenly remembered that terrifying night. After Saito hanged her mother, he ordered the fox to execute Atsu, but the fox defied Saito's command, whispering, "Get out of here," before letting her go. How she later ended up pinned to the ginkgo tree was a different, subsequent event. How could she have forgotten the fox's words? "Get out of here." She finally realized that was Yuki's voice. Yuki was the original fox from that night. The man they were currently hunting was the second-generation fox, his successor. The true accomplice in her mother's death wasn't the man they were chasing, but Yuki. Yuki didn't deny it. He simply started playing his shamisen and confessed everything. He revealed that he was once just the innkeeper's daughter, performing and charming guests by day, and acting as a Saito clan ninja by night. After the Saito clan's downfall, he tracked down Atsu's parents. He believed the little girl was innocent, so he freed Atsu. A furious Saito punished him by branding his arm with a hot iron. After being expelled from the Yōtei Six, Saito chose Yuki's most talented disciple, a student Yuki himself had trained, to become the second-generation fox. Seeing Atsu's disbelief, Yuki went a step further. He taught Atsu how to fight the hallucinations and inner demons created by the sleeping mist. Faced with Yuki's genuine apology, Atsu forgave him. She had also finally conquered the true inner demon, the vengeance that had long blinded her. With that, the name of the fox could also be crossed off her list. However, the second-generation fox still had to die to weaken Saito's power. Right up to the very end, the man tried to sow discord between them. Atsu silenced him. "Save your words for the wolf's blade." The enemy tried to deploy his toxins again, but Atsu had learned to conquer her inner demons and, thanks to Yuki, had mastered the art of locating an opponent by sound. Completely cornered, the second-generation fox was run through with a single strike from Atsu's spear. Now only 3 names remained on the list: Saito and his 2 sons, the spider and the serpent. Atsu decided to meet Yuki beneath the ginkgo tree to discuss their next move. However, the person waiting for her there was Shiro. Even though their quest for vengeance was unfinished, he had returned home. He explained that on the night Yuki had freed Atsu, Shiro had found her by the river. As the two embraced and wept, the serpent and the spider had discovered them. Shiro, attempting to fight back, was blasted over the cliff by the serpent's spear. Atsu was then captured by the spider, pinned to the tree by Saito, and set ablaze by the demon. The siblings were separated from that moment on. Just as the two were confronting the nightmare of their past, Yuki arrived. Upon learning that Yuki was the original fox from that night, Shiro was furious. He couldn't understand why Atsu had forgiven him. Just because he let you go once? That's not enough. Shiro yelled, reaching for his sword. Yuki readily admitted, "You're right, it's not enough. But I just obtained crucial intelligence on the Saito clan. I will help you with your revenge to earn my redemption." It turned out Saito was mobilizing a massive army to launch a direct assault on the Matsumi fortress. Shiro's new family was there. He instantly forgot his feud with Yuki and rushed away without a word. When Atsu and Oyuki finally arrived, the fields outside the castle were already littered with bodies. It turned out that the dragon and the spider, two brothers, who wielded the devastating Tanegashima rifles, had personally led a firing squad. They unleashed a brutal suppressive attack against the Matsumi clan, who were only armed with cold weapons. The two women quickly located Jubei, their soldier friend. Just like the ghost of Tsushima 300 years ago, the three mounted their horses and galloped at full speed, straight towards the enemy landing forces. With the vengeful Onryō back in the fray, the enemy's advance was quickly crushed. A small girl, trembling, then walked out clutching a sword. She was Jubei's daughter and Atsu's niece, Kiku. Jubei had never imagined he had any other surviving relatives. Kiku, who always loved practicing with a sword but was never allowed to by her father, was even more stunned by how formidable her aunt's skills were. But this was no time for a family reunion. Jubei moved his daughter to the safer confines of Matsumi Castle, entrusted her to his elder sister's care, and immediately rushed back to the keep for a military meeting. This gave Atsu and Kiku a precious opportunity to finally get to know each other. Seeing the desperate refugees fight with soldiers over a shortage of medicine, the kind-hearted Kiku pleaded with Atsu to climb the keep, to retrieve the stolen medical supplies for them. Atsu realized that the only way to protect her niece's innocence and kindness was to end the war once and for all. Just then, a messenger arrived with intelligence. The dragon had captured the lighthouse outside the castle, and was brutally executing Matsumi prisoners. Jubei immediately blew the battle horn, leading his forces to storm the stronghold, creating an opening for Atsu to directly target the dragon. After a fierce battle, the dragon was finally cornered on the top floor of the lighthouse with no retreat. However, with a powerful strike, the dragon forced Atsu back. He sneered, "What a pathetic Onryō. You're still that naive little girl from back then." With that, he plunged into the sea, and was immediately picked up by his family's warship, making a clean escape. A crucial chance was lost. Discussing the next move, they agreed. The dragon was far too cautious. They should instead go after his arrogant younger brother, the spider, to lure the dragon out. The spider, living up to his reputation for extravagance, had brazenly occupied a wealthy estate, turning it into a pleasure house and an opium den to enjoy his time. Just as Atsu and Oyuki prepared to infiltrate, Kiku suddenly appeared. The young girl had secretly overheard the adults' conversation. Familiar with this specific Matsumi clan manner, she had followed them. She insisted she knew a secret passage. In a truly brave move, she crawled through a small opening the adults couldn't pass, and opened a hidden door for Atsu and Oyuki. Thoroughly terrified, even the hardened Atsu couldn't risk her life any further. She strictly instructed Kiku to stay put and wait right there. Atsu and Atsu sneak into the actors' changing room, preparing to disguise themselves and infiltrate Spider's banquet. But who would have thought? The place Spider demanded to see was named the Eye of the Burning Tree. Yes, his own most painful memory was being turned into casual entertainment by this guy. Furiously, Atsu gripped her sword hilt. This action made Spider recognize the wolf's blade. So Atsu dropped the pretense, drew her sword, and shouted, "The Night of the Burning Tree is due for a new ending." The sheer rage finally transformed him into the ghost. Activating the ghost stance, he tore through Spider's men like cutting through soft vegetables. Spider immediately dropped to his knees, begging for his life. Such cowardice. No wonder Lord Saito was rumored to always look down on his own son. Yet, after his sister's death, Dragon had only ever shown affection for this younger brother. After taking Spider back to Matsumi Castle, Oyuki called for Atsu with a worried expression. Having just learned that Atsu also went to the mansion that night, she was concerned her sister would be blinded by her thirst for revenge. And Atsu was right. Who could endure the humiliation of the Night of the Burning Tree? Upon hearing her daughter Kiku's apology, Oyuki finally realized that protecting her child didn't mean hiding the harsh, warring reality of the world. It meant teaching her how to protect herself and her family. So she agreed to let Atsu instruct Kiku in her ways. However, the Matsumi clan publicly announced that Spider would be executed on the beach the following noon, hoping to lure Dragon into a trap. The family came to Seiin Temple, where the monks had a good relationship with Oyuki. They knew they could seek refuge here if necessary. Finally, Atsu grilled some mushrooms for everyone, enjoying the most peaceful moments before the great battle. At that moment, no one allowed themselves to think that such a happy night might be their last. The next day, Spider was brought to the execution platform as scheduled. He yelled, "Even if I die, I'll be buried in the Saito family crypt, but my father and brother will definitely avenge me." Just as he was speaking, Saito's warship indeed emerged from the sea mist. Wait, what about that other one in the distance? The siblings' eyes widened as they realized the truth. Saito was not there to spring the prisoner. Instead, he had taken advantage of the Matsumi forces being focused on the beach, leaving Matsumi Castle vulnerable, and was sailing straight for the castle. Oyuki immediately led her troops back to reinforce the castle. However, just as Atsu turned, a voice stopped her. It was Dragon escorting Lord Saito. Spider was thrilled and shouted excitedly, but all Lord Saito saw was disappointment. Ignoring Spider, he simply ordered Dragon to kill Atsu, then turned and continued leading the attack on the castle. On one side was her sworn enemy, Dragon, and on the other was Kiku, caught in danger. Oyuki desperately pleaded with Atsu to return to the castle with her to save Kiku. But Atsu's focus was once again consumed by revenge. She could not allow Dragon to slip away from her grasp a second time. So to Oyuki's immense disappointment, Atsu stayed behind. Saito's plot had succeeded. Dragon used a firearm to blast apart the ropes holding Spider, then ordered his brother to take the gun and provide long-range support during his duel with Atsu. It must be admitted, the brothers' teamwork certainly raised the intensity for Atsu. A moment's lapse in attention could result in being struck by Spider's bullets. Fortunately, the power of her vengeance overcame everything else. Atsu swung her blade and struck down Dragon on the spot. Spider remained the same coward he always was. Witnessing Atsu using the blood of the brother who cherished him most to wipe out Dragon's name, he was terrified and immediately turned to flee. Atsu chased after him but couldn't catch him. Only then did she remember Oyuki and Kiku. But when she rushed back to Matsumi Castle, it was already too late. The castle was engulfed in flames, just like the Great Fire 16 years ago beneath the ginkgo tree. Oyuki and Kiku were nowhere to be found in the inferno. Although Lord Saito had achieved a decisive victory, he had lost his son, Dragon, whom he viewed as his successor. Saito had no expectation that Spider, that failure, would ever avenge his brother. Out of blood relation, he didn't punish him. He simply told him to go bury Dragon. After this, Saito concluded coldly, "Whether you drink yourself to death or whatever else you do, it means nothing to me." Atsu finally remembered Seion Temple and raced toward it. Kiku was indeed there. But where were Oyuki and Atsu's father? Kiku explained that they were both holding off the enemy forces, only managing to cover her own escape. Kiku desperately pleaded with her aunt to hurry back to the castle and save her father. But Atsu, having just come from the castle, knew they were no longer there. So, she could only settle Kiku in the family home beneath the ginkgo tree first. This was Kiku's first time visiting, but the more she looked at the items her father used as a child, the deeper her sorrow grew. Unable to sleep, she secretly went to the ginkgo tree to practice with her blade. In a furious shout, she suddenly asked Atsu, "Why weren't you fighting alongside my father?" Atsu was left speechless. She had already understood deep down that she should never have let revenge blind her, abandoning her clearly more important family for it. Fortunately, Hanbei, Oyuki's master and someone familiar with Saito, offered her comfort. He said that since Atsu knew revenge could break a person if Saito died now, his son would only want revenge even more than Atsu did, and would be even more broken than she was then. At Hanbei's reminder, Atsu suddenly recalled Spider mentioning at the execution ground that the Saito family crypt was located at the Stone Saint Alliance Peak. After setting up an ambush there, Spider indeed arrived to bury Dragon. However, Atsu's only thought now was rescuing her family. She had no time to consider killing Spider for revenge. But Spider, standing before an old tombstone, revealed a past Atsu had never known. This was actually the grave of Spider's little sister. Remember that Atsu's father had deserted because he opposed Saito's plan to raid villages? At the time, the Saito clan had been defeated in the Battle of Chongxiao Creek. Saito had only managed to flee in haste with his family and a few retainers. When they ran out of food during the exile, he ordered the village raids. However, because of Atsu's father's opposition, Saito's youngest daughter starved to death. Since then, the only response to his yearning for his daughter was endless death and his own profound shame. Saito brought the Yōtei Six to slaughter Atsu's family not only because of her father's betrayal, but also to avenge his dead daughter. Facing this sudden realization that she was led by fate, Atsu finally grasped the futility of an endless cycle of vengeance and lowered her blade. She no longer wanted to fight for revenge. She wanted to fight for her loved ones. She promised Spider that if he revealed the whereabouts of Oyuki and her father, she would spare his life. In truth, Spider didn't hold much hatred for Atsu. He believed his brother's death was entirely due to their father. Dragon was so desperate for Lord Saito's approval that he was blindly obedient. Therefore, Spider offered no resistance. He personally rowed a boat, taking Atsu toward the Saito clan's main mountain stronghold. As for himself, he announced he was heading to mainland Japan to finally be his true self. Thankfully, Atsu was not too late. Engaging the ghost stance, she rescued Oyuki from the executioner's blade just moments before the sentence could be carried out. After the siblings fought their way out, Atsu offered a sincere apology to her brother. Oyuki let out a deep sigh, but just like when they were children, he still put his faith in his sister. However, after finally rescuing Oyuki, they realized the terrible truth. Saito had somehow guessed where Atsu was hiding, and had already taken his forces to the home beneath the ginkgo tree. At this very moment, Kiku was there. The three quickly raced back home on horseback. Sure enough, Saito was waiting. Obsessed with his own vengeance, he had only one condition. Atsu must face him alone in a duel, and he would spare Kiku. Oyuki tried to argue, but Atsu stopped him with a single phrase, "Trust me. I will fight for Kiku and for you." The sword hilt that once symbolized a life dedicated to revenge was gently tossed into the fire. Now Atsu no longer needed to live for vengeance alone. The final duel began amidst the swirling ginkgo leaves. This battle demanded the absolute mastery of her combat skills. Saito constantly switched the weapons in his hands, from a razor-sharp naginata to a short tanto and shield, then to a sudden onslaught with a chain-linked sickle. But Saito still found a weakness, deflecting the wolf's blade with a single strike. Just as the executioner's blade was about to fall and take Atsu's head, another sword intercepted it. Oyuki, the brother who had rejected the narrow-minded ways of the samurai, had selflessly thrown himself into the fight to save his sister. The siblings rushed the enemy together. Yet, Oyuki had been too long subjected to torture. In a careless moment, Saito ran his sword right through Oyuki's chest. The same ginkgo tree, the same loss of a loved one, the flames of hatred Atsu had just put down, like a vengeful spirit circling the battlefield, once again possessed her, dark and persistent. Suddenly, Oyuki used his last ounce of strength to shout to Atsu, urging her to fight for the living. Shaken back to clarity, Atsu focused all her rage, parried Saito's blade, and impaled him against the ginkgo tree, just as he had done to her family 16 years before. Her great vengeance was fulfilled, but this time she had truly and forever lost her brother. Suddenly, Atsu heard behind her the frightened and lonely weeping she remembered from 16 years ago. No, it was Kiku, looking exactly as Atsu herself had looked 16 years prior. Atsu, who had lost all purpose in living, found her resolve renewed. Oyuki was right. She truly was not alone. After Oyuki's death, Atsu continued living with Kiku in the home beneath the ginkgo tree. They planted her father's favorite chrysanthemums, and Atsu picked one to place on Oyuki's grave. After this, life became peacefully ordinary. Yet, even in the tranquility, a ripple appeared. Atsu remembered her uncle mentioning a storm blade 300 years ago that had traveled across the sea to this remote land. Amidst the swirling red leaves, Atsu found the sword, the one inscribed with the Sakai family crest, the storm blade, and a ghost mask. Yes, these were the artifacts of Jin Sakai. It turned out that Jin, who had abandoned the way of the samurai, was rejected by his homeland after the Mongol retreat. He left the mainland and sought refuge in this land. The shogunate, which ruled Japan based on the samurai code, feared that his abandonment of Bushido would inspire others. They ordered his story to be suppressed. But now the Stormblade had found a new owner. And the story of how Jin Sakai and Oyuki abandoned the samurai code? Atsu would surely ensure it was passed down and sung forever. The story ends here. Thanks for watching and liking. We'll see you in the next one.